Hello everybody and welcome to the Chit Chat. I'm Adam.
Jeremy.
And today we're going to talk about 5 things that we look for when buying a new game, whether it's Kickstarter or just a general game that we're going to find out in the stores. So we kind of talked before this video and we came up with a list of 5 things. That's going to be the company or the designer that made the game, the mechanics of the game, the components, the theme, and then kind of the artwork. And so we're gonna go through these, we're gonna discuss these a little bit at each time and just kind of tell you what we look for so you get a little bit to know us personally, as well as kind of get some tips on what we might think you should look.
Yeah, when we say 5 things, these are generally, you've got to meet quite a few of these to have us interested in purchasing and spending our money for your game.
Yeah, board games are expensive, so you want to make sure you like most of the games you get.
Yeah, most of my friends still have trouble realizing how expensive they are sometimes. And then to keep the game as a collectible and not want to get rid of it, more than likely has to have 5, maybe a solid 4, but
to keep your collection.
5. Yes, yeah. Generally 5. So. Which one do you want to start out with?
I mean, we're heavier gamers. We trade them in and out a lot. So let's start with company and designer, because I feel like this is what I look for the most. And so I'm gonna say especially if you're looking for Kickstarter, company and designer for me is the most crucial. He's already given me a look on this one. Yes. But why it's important for me on Kickstarter is I know they're gonna deliver. I know they're gonna have a quality product. I have an idea of all the components and everything that are gonna be. So, I know there are some companies that I shy away from. I personally don't like Kickstarters that have a bunch of extra miniatures and stuff. So I avoid Cool Mini or Not, even though I know they would deliver. Also, they delivered like 8-9 months late for me, so that was a frustrating thing. But in general, with company and designers, I'm going to have an idea of what a company's style is. So, for example, Blue Orange makes really good entry-level games. They have New York 1901, they have Battle Sheep. These are things that I just really enjoy, and so I know they hit that niche of like, this is what I want for an entry-level game. Z-Man Game makes a lot of the more popular and heavier Euro games. Days of Wonder has kind of that family aspect to it, and so I look at those companies and I try to find a company that I kind of fall in line with on their overall practices. Like FFG, I play their LCGs. I wouldn't play anybody else's LCGs. AEG does a poor job with the balancing and everything is bad, and so there's always something to look at within a company. And then I have favorite designers. Matt Gertz, he made my favorite game Concordia. So I'll play pretty much any of his games at least once. Jamie Stegmaier with Scythe has really won me over. And so I'll usually try his games now. And so this kind of makes that make or break of if I'm at least going to look at a game. And definitely if I'm going to seek it out to play it.
Yeah, same thing. I try to get most of my games on Kickstarter, and I've had a little bit better luck than most people probably do. But Cool Mini or Not is one that I will be interested in because they will send me. I like when a company or a designer will send either an emailer or an update saying, "Hey, we've got this new game out." It keeps you know what's coming, so you're not finding out about it way later. I've not had any bad experiences with them yet, but. I just think that they do great quality. It will get there. And so they don't communicate very well. They don't. Not communicate very well on Facebook and give timely updates, but everybody that actually backs them, it's not their first backing, knows that that's going to happen, and you just expect it. Mind Clash Games is another one with Anachrony and Tricurion. If David Turksey is involved with it, like Cerebria is their latest, and they got new ones that come out at the end of this year and then next year that I'm already just can't wait for because I've seen a poster of it. So
sure,
when you get a good game and it's quality, like you said, Stegmaier Games, got pre-ordered Charterstone right away based off how I enjoyed Scythe. Love Charterstone. Finished the campaign in a week. So you kind of get those designers and those companies that you know are going to put out the quality you're looking for, the style you're looking for, the work from a designer that you can trust. So those are a few. Druid City Games is really getting better. Pandasaurus Games. I know you were a little scared of Dinosaur Island because of the vibe and how they were doing things.
But that was more of a vibe than a publisher or a designer. Like, I didn't have anything against those. I just thought that's more of a component issue.
They weren't very known at that point.
Right.
And Wasteland Express came out. I played that. Loved how they did the game trays and had everything set up in that. Actually started painting that game because I know that it's a good game. And so then I was really glad once I got Wasteland Express in and tried it and was like, oh yeah, this is going to be good. And now Dinosaur Island's like a hot item.
You did manage to get something that now at this point I at least want to play and that I'm interested in. But I mean, for me, it boils down to find things that hit your personal style. Clearly, we have different designers and companies that we look for, but that's just a different style in our overall game that we want to own.
And you would play it.
And that's fine. I mean, and I absolutely would.
He's played the others even after that mishap. You've played it. It didn't change, and make you hate the company. You just weren't comfortable.
It's just not. I don't look at them immediately. Yeah. Like, I'm not like, oh, the designer of the others is out there, so I want to play his next game. Now, I love Eric Lang, actually. He did just do the others. He's really prolific.
That's a new one.
But at the same time, I don't automatically seek out his games because some of them are more miniature heavy than I like. And so, again, it's just learning what you like about each designer and each company. And I think that's the strategy you should take. And I think that's what I want you to take away from this part of our video is just find things that hit your personality and stick with that designer. And know that most designers and most publishers stick in a lane. Vital Lacerda, maybe a little bit less so, or Vlaada Chvátil, because he has, Mage Knight and then code names. I would definitely never recommend you combine the two, but that's good.
And I think, you were going about personality. I think that brings us to the next one, and that would be theme. I think theme is very important. Like we were talking right before we started this, I just named Stegmaier Games. I liked playing Viticulture, but it wasn't a theme.
Stegmaier's the owner.
Yes, Stegmaier. Keep doing that. But I played the game. I bought the game from somebody.
Right.
And it was just, man, I don't know why I bought this because I don't drink wine. I'm
understand.
Not very, it's not something I'm desiring to really play and learn how someone, produces wine and sells it and all that. But then if I look at maybe a theme park and we have, you have Unfair or Coaster Park, and then I look at those things, or Dinosaur Island, Jurassic Park. I'm a huge Jurassic Park. The original.
I'm a Jurassic Park fan too, so I can't really.
So when I heard that, it was like, okay, here we go. Or Zombicide, that feels that zombie theme, and then I just try to keep different things. I just ordered Cytosis, cell making in the body. Other than the theme, I don't know. That's not going to be something that you're really going to gear towards, based on the other things on the list. But knowing the theme, then you look at other things, just like knowing I feel like once you get past who's making the game, you look at the theme, and then you're like, okay, well, I'm interested in this topic. I'm going to see more about it and what are the other things that we're talking about.
And you're a thematic gamer. I've always felt like that. You'll play games that I would say maybe aren't perfect mechanically because you really enjoy the theme. And sometimes I prioritize the other, but theme is definitely important. And I like that you're a thematic gamer. I think that's really interesting. For me, the themes I gravitate towards are less consistent. I'm the boring Euro gamer guy. Don't take that personally because I'm the Euro gamer, but I do typically not prioritize theme. But I think for me, whereas theme won't necessarily get me to buy a game, it will keep it in my collection longer. So Vital Lacerda is the gallerist. I honestly feel like I'm managing an art gallery, and that's cool to me. Not necessarily because I've dreamed of becoming an art gallerist, but because it truly, all of it makes sense thematically. I think it also just helps the game flow. And so definitely for me, I would suggest at least checking that box off, even if especially once you get a bigger collection. That theme is going to be so much more important, because Clans of Caledonia, I love the game, but it's farming. And I don't know that it will stick around forever because it's farming. There are so many farming games out there.
Yeah, and I feel like, because I do have that game and I do like it, I've played it, but I feel like that's one that goes with every other Euro theme. And I like how nowadays there's more Euro games that are called Ameritrash, or break away from that farming, that basic essential theme of doing this farming aspect, or another agricultural theme. But I feel like when you change the theme a little bit, you can change the mechanics a little more.
I agree.
Whereas, like you said, more thematic, mechanics may not be as sound. Uwe Rosenberg, great at Euro mechanics.
But not always thematic.
The same, but it's a very similar theme, tweaked a little bit. Mechanics very similar, but enough to differentiate, but keeps it solid. Whereas I'm fine with breaking away to a different theme. And yeah, I mean, that it wasn't as solid of a game, but I had just as much fun even playing something that was the different because of the theme.
I mean, I think the good thing is the industry is moving towards that type gamer, meaning it's very clear that even Euro designers, very historically more dry games, are moving to theme. So even Splotter with Food Chain Magnate has moved to a little bit of theme. We won't go back to the Alice, but we'll talk about like Vinhos. It's another one of those games that feels like you're managing a vineyard. You mentioned viticulture earlier. There's a lot of things that are starting to push that theme through, that are starting to really more embrace that and starting to think about that when they make decisions with their mechanics. Why would I do this? How does that fit into the theme? They're really starting to structure that around. And that's what I mean when I say theme, is that it fits the mechanics, because you can set anything in a theme. You know, it could be in space, it could be mechanical, it could be steampunk, whatever, but that is meaningless unless it relates to something you're doing. So
I think the theme, you just have to know that and take away that you're trying to find a game that you're going to have fun playing, and if it's something you're not interested in, it may take away from that experience.
I agree,
but not always, because I enjoy Caverna, but it's a little bit different theme-wise. It's not like a modern day.
So even though it's not necessarily your style, it still fits, and so I think that really dovetails us well into mechanics. While I said for me it was more important than theme, I think when I'm gonna want to talk about mechanics here, I just want to talk about like a specific thing. Like, I like area control games, and so I'm gonna gravitate towards that, or I like deck builders, or I like let me think. I think worker placement is actually my favorite mechanic. I think you can do a lot with worker placement. I think it's a little bit more varied than some of the other mechanics. And so that's what I'm going to gravitate towards. I think that's what's going to really work for me. I'm going to say that I do like novelty in mechanics as well. So I like when a game in a mechanic does something a little bit different. I'm not saying you have to go out and go 504 on it and make all these random different scenarios. I think it's important for games like When I Dream. So When I Dream looks at hidden roles in a novel way. Or Marco Polo looks at a dice worker placement in a novel way. It mitigates that luck well. It looks at it differently than most of them do. And so when I'm going to say mechanics, I'm going to say I gravitate towards a few, but then I look for the novel within it. And so again, I guess I just recommend people pick a mechanic and kind of stick in that lane. It's good to have a variety in your collection, but I think you're always going to gravitate towards your favorite.
Yeah, I mean, if I were to look at my collection, I would see multiple different styles with different games. Then I'd see some that I don't necessarily play that much, but they're there in case the right person came over. Mechanics-wise, I'm gonna want worker placement, or a miniatures type game, or maybe something like very, very rarely will it be a deck builder, but maybe there will be a
That's
deck
fair.
builder there. I don't own too many of them, but I have them there in case other people want to play them, or it's something that really uses that mechanic very well and makes it different. Like you said, not reinventing the wheel, but tweaking it and making it just fresh.
Yeah.
Another new one that I have coming in the future will be Crusaders, and it uses a mandala, and so I don't have any games. Maybe Talong similar, a little different, but using that mandala mechanism. I don't have a lot of games like that. There's not a ton.
Oh, like
of
Trey and the
where you
Hollow
pick it up
type thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
Wheel. So you're moving it around. It's a different mechanism. Different mechanism in the game that's not in most games, but something that is in a few others, but is tweaked a little bit just to differentiate itself from
I agree.
the other stuff. So
I mean, and we both mentioned variety, and so I think it's good to double down on that. Meaning, while I like picking a lane personally, it's good to know your audience. So we have play groups that cross over, meaning we play together quite a bit, but we also have very distinct groups that play with us as well. And so maybe I need something that fits, a 30-minute section for a few play groups, and they're not going to be into area control because that's a little bit more aggressive. So you're looking for passive mechanics or something that doesn't have as much player interaction. And so keeping a target of your play groups also very important. Knowing your friends. So like I would mostly do worker placement for more passive friends. I would, for more aggressive friends, I'm going to be doing things like your take that style games, your bluffing games, your area control games, and then for lighter, friends who just like they're here to socialize, we'll be looking at the party games or the deception games as well. And so just like keeping that in mind when you do it is important.
I think while you're doing these different mechanics of the game, you're going to come into contact quite frequently with the different components of the game. And so that's another thing that we put on the list is the components of the game, because it's got to look good to me. Like I'm fine with punch board, but I don't want 1 millimeter punch board. That's super thin stuff that's just going to get bent, that's sold in all the games on the Target shelf. I want a game that's going to be thick and last, or I don't have to have realistic resources. I do like them. If there's an option for it, it's a temptation to purchase that. But there's got to be something better than just that weak stuff. And if not, then I have to go and buy a sleeve or something to protect the cards that are super thin, so that it doesn't get wasted. Or you have to purchase the game all over for that one item. So I think components need to be don't have to be perfect, don't have to be something that big, but they have to be enough that it's not going to be look super cheap and unprofessional. Right,
and I think you have to have a personal baseline. But so you're knowing your audience and you're having a personal baseline. So we go to a lot of events. We help run events. We teach people games. So some of our games get far more play than the average person's board game. And if that comes with poor component quality, or if it comes at a premium price and I still need to add sleeves or to add other protective elements to keep my game in good condition, that's going to turn me off pretty quickly. I think for me, a baseline component is the thick, heavy chipboard. Also, I've been noticing a trend lately of going to cardboard for player mats, but going to cheap cardboard, which tends to curl. And to be honest, that will cause me to just not buy a game straight up. I would rather have a poorer quality player mat that doesn't bend. Like if they're gonna take that step up, they need to protect from warping a little bit. Especially at modular games, it just becomes hard to put together. Realistic resources are not a requirement for me, but I do have a little bit of an issue of replacing components in games. And I know that about myself. And so I might actually prioritize components less, especially if the game is popular, because I know I'm just going to replace them anyway. If the baseline component quality is poor, I pretty much straight up day one, I've replaced them. Or card quality, rarely ever an issue because since we do take them to events, I sleeve them day one. That's more for me. I don't have as much to add on components. It is a much more minor part of the decision making for me, but in the long-term enjoyment and the long-term actual ability to enjoy it because it holds up, it is important. I get that.
Well, I think that nowadays most companies take this into account and they do a great job of producing a game with not that super thin, cheap stuff, but some still are on that level.
I agree.
I just mean that whenever, like the first time I played Size, somebody had a collector's edition, so you see that component and you're like, ooh, this game is awesome because
that's not my problem.
It's got
I didn't do that.
No, I think it was Skies, I think.
Okay.
Is before
it's
I
not even my fault.
Before
That's
I
good.
played with you. But you see that and you're like, this is the coolest game. And you get whooped and you're like, I don't even care. This game is just like amazing because of, look at this. Like somebody created this and it's upgraded to a level I never thought was in board gaming. Like even getting back in the hobby, you know, you see it and you're like, oh, that's kind of a cool game. But then you see like a decked out Scythe copy and you're like, oh my goodness, the components on this are amazing. And then you see, like, then the next thing they put out, Charterstone, you know, not breaking the game or anything, but it comes with the wooden pieces and stuff.
Right.
And then there's the option if you want to get the resin pieces and different things, you can
keep going.
upgrade, or it comes with metal coins in the Charterstone box. So that's one less thing that you have to do. And if you're getting it for $40-$50, then I mean it's very well produced for what you're spending versus games where you spend $40-$50 and you're like, really? This is what it came with?
I want to tag in box quality to component quality in all honesty, because in many ways the way the insert is built and the thickness of the box itself matters to me. Terraforming Mars' box is so thin and its insert is nothing. That's a fairly expensive game.
Well, and then those thin boxes, I mean, how many times have I had it shipped from Amazon or somewhere and it hits a corner and then it just splits? Or something, if it's not produced well, then there's more of a potential in the shipping aspect that it's going to get dented and going to get busted open, and it's not going to hold your stuff. So,
though to be fair to people, I guess that is not the best suggestion, because when buying a game, it's really hard to know like what the insert is without doing a lot of research, and I don't want to necessarily tell people they should do that. That's something I care about in component quality, but it's probably not something they can avoid up front.
The cardboard tray almost always gets tossed for me because it's just... Like even the Dinosaur Island one came, and to stack everything in, you had to pull it out. Once you punch it, you've got to take it out because it's not going to...
Right, because you just don't... Right, you're unable to do things with it.
So I'm fine with them putting it in it, but if there becomes an option to store it in one box... with an insert, that's definitely an option I'm going to look at. Take it. Not necessarily always going to buy it, but I will at least look at it. So
I understand.
I think we're at the last thing, which is art, and this may be one from me, maybe not Adam as much. But if it's a dry art game, I'm probably not going to suggest it. An example for me is Terraforming Mars. I do not own it. Other people have it. If other people suggest it, I'll play it because of mechanics. I like the game. I'm not the best at it, but I like to play it. I have fun playing it, but it's not going to be suggested by me because of that. First time it was suggested, I think I looked at it and was like, maybe next time.
Well, and it's held you back from buying it. I mean, you have played with me multiple times, but you didn't buy it.
Yeah, I'm not going to buy it.
And even though, again, we play together quite a bit, we own some overlap occasionally, and there are good instances for it.
Yeah, I think our size yours is painted a little bit better than mine, but
we're competing on size at this point, though, right?
The same, I think. I think we're maxed out until that new one comes in August.
Yep, Rise of Fenris.
But I mean, even the art on side, you look at that and what Jakob, it's Jacob.
Oh
it's
yeah,
Jakob. But
Jacob.
You look at the art. It's another thing that game I looked at. I was like, man, I just love this art. I haven't seen these mechs in this art style, and it looks great. And then where I look at something that's maybe a little more cartoony, as long as the art looks good, but if it looks kind of like Like Clemens Franz.
Yeah.
It's very similar. Everything's similar, but it just looks so good.
And it can contribute to theme
Yeah.
and your immersion. A good art versus a bad art or whatnot. When you're taking actions, when you're looking at cards, that art really brings you into the game. And so I will give you that.
Yeah. So those are the 5 things that we think that are important for a game to have, or for us to notice in a game that we would be interested in looking more into and potentially purchasing or backing on Kickstarter. We've told you some red flags that we maybe don't really necessarily like about it, but it all comes down to these are 5 very important things between the both of us that we think that you have to have, and we may not agree on the same company or the same art style or the same components or the same themes, but all those things are in the majority of the games that we own and keep.
The things we would suggest you all look at when you're doing that. And I'd be kind of interested in having some of our viewers let us know what they're really important in the comments, like what's important to them, or if
what's their
a specific company, what do they want, or what art do they care about. So I honestly don't know many artists. We just talked about that. I didn't have much to say because I don't know them.
They can agree with you on. There's another guy that does amazing. What's his name? He did stuff for When I Dream. He works a lot with Holy Grail games now. I can't think of his name. It's on top of my tongue, but his art looks amazing as well. But
I'll put it in the review for When I Dream.
I'll comment the
comment it in.
Artist name. I'll try and be the first comment. You guys can go ahead and add and tell us, and you'll probably have a lot of people saying, "Yeah, I can't stand Cool Mini or not." Just like Adam.
Everybody agrees.
Then you may have some people that will finally chime in and go. Rick Shaw will chime in with me and be like, "Yeah,
he'll probably agree with you."
Rick Shaw will, yeah.
Sorry, we called you out in the video, but now you have to comment.
I'll message you, Rick. I'll message you.
It's acceptable.
All right. Well, thanks for chiming in with us. This is a chit chat with Adam and Jeremy.
All right. Everybody have a great day.